Hi, I'm Marwan from Alif Team Business Solutions. I'm the world's best method customization expert. And today, I'm going to teach you something that very popularly asked, and that is how to add values to a dropdown inside of Method CRM. I'm going to show you 3 ways to do it. The first 2 are the common ways, and then the third one is a new feature that Method just released that you're not going to find anywhere else on the internet. So stick around till the end of the video. The world's best, did I tell you that? So let's get to it. All right, so the first way that I'm going to show you is importing values. It's quick and easy, no customization required, and you cannot edit or delete any of the values that you import. So it's important to know this. This is the good way if you want to get it once and, just do it, get it done, and not use it for a long time. The second way is a management screen that we're going to add. Essentially, we're going to customize. It's the most dynamic way. It's very good method if you want to give your colleagues the ability to add and edit or delete any of the drop-down values. This is good because once you do it once you customize it once, you don't have to do it again. You can just at any time come back and edit your values or add new ones. And the last way is the new way. It's a pop-up screen. It's really cute. That's the best way to describe it. It does require a little bit of customization. It is very quick actually how to do it. Just pop-up screen, you enter your stuff, close it. It's a little wonky, but possibly the future of how this is going to happen, and I'm pretty sure that's the direction that Method is going to take to do it. So why don't we just get going? So here's an app that I'm working on. It's called the Jobs app, and here's a dropdown that we're going to upgrade. Okay, it's called the Type dropdown. We're going to add 3 values for each way that we do. But before we get into it, it's very important to note that you do need customization permissions. Okay, so if you don't have that, ask the admin to give you one. If you're an admin or a customizer, then you should be fine. Before we jump into this, it's very important to know what dropdowns are. Okay, so dropdowns are essentially a table, and in that table there are the values. So in our case, we have some sort of a table called type, and it has those 3 values. Think of it like the customer. You know how the customer, you have a database of all of your customers. And then when we create a drop-down inside of the jobs table, where the screen is based off of, then we can point to the customer table, and that's how we get all the values. So every drop-down works that way. So in our case, this type drop-down is technically a field that is pointing to a table that exists inside of Method. So there's 2 ways to find out which table this dropdown is based off. You need to find the table name, which is the header here, and you need to know the field inside of that table that you want to import to. And the example of a customer, for example, is the customer is the table, and then the full name is the field that we select here. Cool. So the first way to know is to just simply customize the screen and find that field. Okay, so I'm going to assume that you know how to customize. Here is our table. Here's our dropdown. So the field inside of the jobs table is called internal job type. And it just happens that when I click on it and it shows me the dropdown, that we can see that the base table is right here, and it's called internal job type as well. Okay. It's not always the case that the field matches the name in the table, because in the table you can call it whatever you want. But this is important. The base table is important, so we know that we are importing into the internal job type table. Okay. So keep a note of that. And the way we find out the field is if you go into the columns, and it should be right here, the job type. So we know that we are importing into the internal job type table and into the job type field of that table. That's way number 1. So I'm going to exit out of here. Way number 2 is if you go to account settings and you go to tables and fields, I'm always in the way. And you search for that table that you're on. So I know that I'm in the jobs table, and you can find the internal job type right here as job type. The description here Method has put it for me. And if you take a look at the type of it, we know that it is an internal job type. So that's the name of the table that it's pointing to because it's a dropdown. And then the field that it's taking is the job type field, as you can see right here. So the blue is the name of the table. Inside the parentheses is the name of the field. So those are the 2 ways. I like the first way because it's a quick, easy way. You know exactly what you're looking for, you find it. Okay, but find the way that you want. All right, without further ado, let's get into method number 1 of adding values into this dropdown. So the first way is we're going to import. So as I said, this is the quickest and easiest way to do it. You just need to kind of do it once. You take this method if you know that you're just going to import it for now. You need the values today. You're not going to edit. You're not going to delete. You're not going to add more stuff in the future. Then this is the way for you. This is the quickest way. So you open an Excel sheet. That's where we start. And in the very first type we're going to do is we're going to type in the field name from the table. So we know it's called job type. So I'm just going to type job type. And I like to make it bold just so I know that it is a header. And under it now you can add all the values that you want. So for example, if I want to add site visit as one of my job types, then I type it here. If I want to add more stuff, for example, like maintenance, whatever, then you can add them here. So this is also a good way if you want to mass update values. For now, I'm just going to add one. Once you create your Excel sheet and you're ready to go to import into it, you can save your Excel sheet, or if you're using Google Sheet like I am, you can just download it into CSV. I like CSV. Excel works as well. Either or, it doesn't matter. But now we are ready to import. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to integrations. We're going to go into import right here. And in the import, what it does is Method gives us all the common tables that people import into. Because we're going to import into the internal job type, we're going to choose other as our table. And from here, you just drag and drop the Excel sheet that you just created. And we're going to choose the table. And we know that it's called the internal job type table. Click next. There you go. Now it matches the title to the field. So if that didn't happen, just select the proper field from this dropdown and you should be good to go. It gives you a preview of what's going to import. Just keep going next. Make sure that you have a green checkbox. And once you get to the import button, which is where my face is, click import. Wait for it. Done. Now if we take a look at our dropdown, here is site visit right here. Cool. Now the second way to do this is to kind of create a screen. So be ready to follow along because we're going to customize. Okay, so to give you an example of how the second way works, take a look at, for example, the activity screen. If you take a look at the type field in the activity screen, when you click on it, see how they have this new edit activity type? That's essentially called a custom row click in the dropdown. So when I click on it, it opens a totally new screen, and you can see it's called the activity type list, where I can select from the values that are in that dropdown and edit them if I want to. Well, you know, technically speaking. So we're going to do the same thing. We're going to do a simpler screen, not like that one, but it's going to behave exactly that same way. So to do this, first thing we need to do is we need to create that screen where we're going to go and edit those values or create new ones. To do this, just be in the app that you wanted. So we're going to stay in the Jobs app. We're going to click on Manage App, Create Screen. We're going to give it a name. So I'm going to call it Job Type Drop Down Management. I clearly didn't do it a million times. And then the base table that this screen is going to be based off is essentially the table of the dropdown. So because we're going to save into that table. Okay, so it has to be the internal job type table that we base it off of. So if you have a table in your dropdown, make sure to choose the table of your dropdown. Click Create. I'm going to zoom through it here. This is just common ways of doing it. I've done this a million times. But essentially, we're going to create the screen in the same way that any other method screen is created. So when you're presented with the canvas. So if you just follow along with me, this will be the quickest way. Split this into half, and we're going to add a back and a navigation. So I'll add a text here, call it back. It has an icon of a chevron pointing to the left. And make the icon color primary. That's how Method does it. And then we're going to add another section here, and we're going to call it Site Management. Again, I'm going to split it into half as well. Reason being is because I want the left-hand side to host the grid and then the right-hand side to host the forms. And just to kind of make it look good and look nice, I'm going to remove all the padding out of it. and I'm going to add a section within that section. So over here, I'm going to have the second grid, and I'm going to add another section here, and I'm going to call it second forms. And just to kind of keep things consistent, I'm going to make the column width here to be 30%, and this one's 70%. Now we can add our grid, and add our form. So for the form as well, I'm going to add a column, and I'm going to make this 25%. This makes it just look much better. So it doesn't take the entire width of the screen. And then we can add our job type field right here. Not an object, field, because we want to save it to the table in here. And then we can just call it type. Make it bold just to kind of look nice, you know? When your screen looks good, you would want to work in it. That's the philosophy that I take. I'm going to add another row. I added another row here in forms because what I want to do is I want to add buttons to save. So I'll make them pointed to the right, and now I can just drag and drop my button. So here you can add your delete button, your save button, save a new, whatever you want. We're just going to click, we're just going to create save button right here, like this. Make it primary. There's millions of ways that you could design the screen, but this is the best way. And just to kind of have what we want as well to edit, you can always just come to the grid and go to the row click of the grid and just say set the active record ID, because that's how you know which value you're taking a look at. And we're going to point to the grid record ID, which reminds me, we actually need to kind of configure the grid by adding a column here and just adding the job type value, which is called type. Close. So now every time I select a type, it's going to populate the field here for me to edit. If there is no field, then it's going to be, the active record ID is going to be -1, which means I'm creating a new record, which is going to add to the grid. So let's edit our save button to do that. So what we're going to do is we're going to save all by validating the screen, meaning that if job type is empty, for example, it's going to give us an error. And then we're going to refresh the grid to show us that new value that we just created, or update the grid with the edited value. Also back should probably go back, right? So go to screen, back in browser history. And that's really it. You can make the screen look better if you want. I mean, this is not going to look the nicest screen in the world. You can add a title or whatever, but for the sake of this video, that's all we're going to do. All right. So that's step number 1, is to create the screen. Step number 2, now we need to go and customize that screen to add the new, to take us to that screen and into that dropdown. So we'll go back to the screen, and then we can customize it. So we're going to add that button, that new edit button on the job type. We're going to find job type, which is right here, internal job type. And the action for this is called custom row click. Okay, that's the first thing that you want to do. Oh, right, we need to make a copy of the screen. Making a copy essentially makes it a draft, so you're the only one who sees it. So we make it live once you're happy with the customization. So custom row click, and then it is very easy. We're just gonna go to that screen that we just created. It's in the Jobs app, that's where we created it, and it's called job type dropdown management. You're not setting an active record ID, you're creating a record ID, so you can clear the screen. Okay, clearing the screen, let's set it to -1. You could be fancy, let's say, if you have selected a job type in that dropdown and you just want to edit it directly from there, you could just do an if-else statement, you know. But for the most part, this will work as well. No need to get to it so fancy. So once you add the custom row, an action in the custom row click events, right? Once you do this, this will show up for you, the custom row text inside of the dropdown properties. So that's where you add the caption of the button. So we're going to call it new type, like this. Hit save, and that should be it. So now when we come to our dropdown and we click on it, you'll see the new type right here. And when you click on it, it takes us to our ugly screen where you can create your new value. So if I call it development, like this, and I hit save, it saves to the grid. And if I click on one of them, then it populates it so I can edit it if I want. That's it. There you go. There are two ways. These are the most common ways to edit your values. There is one last way that I wanted to show you. It's a new feature that Method released, and that is the pop-up feature. This one is just also a quick way. It does require customizations similar in the case that you do need a screen, but it's a way simpler way. It's a little bit, you need to know some of the actions and how they work. So let me just show it to you really quickly and how it's going to work. So for that, we do need a screen. So we could edit our existing screen, but what I'm going to do is I'm just going to create a very, very simple screen for it. So we're going to come here. I'm going to call it Dropdown pop-up screen. Same thing. It's the same exact thing as the one before. But we no longer need it to be such a complex screen that it hosts all the navigation and everything. We need it to act like a pop-up. So what we're going to do is we're going to design it super simple where it just has the form and nothing else. So to do that, to make it look good, just add like 3 columns and make the middle column to be 25%. And same thing, we're just going to drag and drop job type in the middle. And if you click here and just place it in the middle, same thing, just make it look good. And then we're going to add another row now for the buttons, right? So when you create a pop-up screen, we need essentially one important button. You can get fancy with it some other time. I'm going to put it on the rights here. And that is save and close, all right? So in terms of save, it's the same way where you just need to save everything. And you don't need to refresh any grids at that point, but there is a action called the close pop-up. There's also another action that we're going to add to our job type screen that is open pop-up. So close pop-up essentially is if you're on the pop-up screen, open pop-up if you are on the screen where the drop-down is. Okay. So there's 2 things that you need for the close pop-up, and it relates to what open pop-up is going to do. So the first thing it's going to do is it's going to give you a return this result. It's anything. Result means it's a variable, so return anything. So in our case, we're just going to return what we type in job type. So in the control job type, whatever I typed in there, just return it, right? And then the pop-up status is also anything that you do. It's going to return to our original screen where our drop-down is some sort of value. And the whole idea behind it is that you add success or fail or whatever so that you know what happened in that pop-up, okay? And that's it. That's really all you need to do with the close pop-up. So now that when we come back to our original screen where the drop-down is, we can add the pop-up for it. And I'm going to do it on custom row click just so that I don't overcomplicate things. Whoa, it's like everything changed in my life. New clothes, new background, new everything. I must have been gone for a long time. Anyways, since the recording of that video, Method has changed the pop-up actions actually quite a bit. So I wanted to kind of make an updated video before I'll launch a outdated video. So just coming back to our screen, here's the internal job type. We're going to deactivate the old go to screen. And instead now, what we're going to do is we're going to open screen as a pop-up. So that's the action that we're going to use to open the pop-up. Same thing as the go to screen. So you navigate to the jobs app, and we want the drop-down pop-up screen that we created. And then the store pop-up result, remember the action result that we saved in the close pop-up action that we added to the pop-up screen? So that variable now carries over through this action result. So essentially when we open the pop-up, here those actions are going to freeze until we close that pop-up, right? So as it closes, it's going to carry over what we have passed on from that action result. So you can call it whatever you want. You don't need to call it the same exact name. But I'm gonna call it pop-up results, just to stay consistent. And then the status, the same thing, the success fail that we had in the close pop-up, we carry it over here as well. So we'll call it pop-up status. And now you can, when you open the pop-up, you can set an active record ID, which is not what we're going to do. We're going to clear the screen. And what this means is we're creating a new value into the dropdown. We're not editing an existing value. So the set active record ID is like, what is the record ID of the value that you want to edit or view in the pop-up? But when you do clear screen, it means that you want to insert a totally new value. And that kind of last thing that gives us is parameters. That is if you want to pre-fill a field going into that screen. So you don't need to have things. So for example, if you know, for example, every time you open it, you want to have your name in the assigned to. So you could do this right here. We don't have any of that in our pop-up screen, so we're just going to leave it blank. You can delete it or leave it, doesn't matter. But that's really all you're going to do. And last thing, last but not least, now that we have the value in pop-up result, because we have it saved, it'll be nice and easy to just kind of put it back into the dropdown. So we'll just do update control on screen, and we're going to update the internal job type to whatever we typed in pop-up result, like this. So kind of close it, whatever we type, just put it into the dropdown as something that we have selected. Okay, so now we close our actions for it to save. Let's go to our screen, refresh. Here is my type dropdown, new type. Here's my pop-up. I guess I could have made it a little prettier, but we'll call it consultation, let's say. And now when I do save and close, it adds it to my thing, into my dropdown, and you'll have it as a value. So that is kind of like a new way that Method has introduced. It's really good. It does have some wonkiness to it, but other than that, it's a really fantastic and quick way to kind of make quick edits that way. So you can realize the kind of potential of such an action, and already I've been putting it to use, and a lot of developers have been putting it to use as well. Congratulations. Now you know all the ways to add values into your dropdowns inside of Method CRM. You can go ahead and go crazy now. Follow any of those steps that you want. So to recap, way number one is to import your values. It's a good way if you want to do it once. It's the quickest way to do it. And if you have mass update of values, then that is your best option. Way number two is the default way in Method. It's the common way that Method has been doing it, and that is to create a screen that you kind of navigate to. Depending on the complexity that you want to do, that might be your best option. If you have kind of like multiple values in the dropdown that you want to add, it also gives you flexibility and scalability for the future, where you can add as many values as you want, and you give access to your team as well to do so. So that is a good option if you have a dynamic drop-down value. And then the third way is the pop-up. It's a new way that Method is introducing. If you want a scalable way as well, but not as complex, really quick way to do it, then the pop-up way is the way to go. And with that, we conclude our video. Thank you so much for watching. Please remember to subscribe. Please remember to follow, and reach out to me with any questions, any customization requests. I would love to know what you're working on. I'm trying to create a community of small business owners around the world, around the globe, so we could share our problems, share with each other some solutions that we've created. I really do believe that helping small and medium-sized businesses is the best way to build thriving communities. And what other way than a thriving community for our kids to grow up in, other than just helping small businesses. So let me know. My name is Marwan. I would love to hear back from you, and thank you for watching this video, and I will catch you on the next one. Peace.